Hello and welcome to the final Trekation. This is it, guys.
We've done it.
Ready to disembark?
Yes.
This is it.
Cool.
Star Trek Nemesis. That was one last Steve.
One last. You don't think it's going to come up again?
Oh, I don't know. Who knows? It's the end of Trekation. Who knows what's going to happen?
This is the part of the Trekation where you start to realize you're going to be more tired when you left for vacation. You know how like when you leave work, you're all excited, and then you go on your Trekation and you come home and you're like, I am goddamn exhausted.
I need another Trekation.
I need to go back to work or something.
You need a Trekation from your Trekation.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. This is that part of that.
Yes, that is true. By the way, that was Chuck Moore that you just heard.
Hi.
How's it going, Chuck Moore?
I'm good. How are you?
You know, I'm doing all right.
Good.
Jason's been talking too. Jason, how you doing? Number one.
I'm here. I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You good?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I kind of have that feeling when you finish a vacation and you have to go back to work the very next day. That's kind of how I feel right now.
You need a Trekation from your vacation?
Right. You
Okay.
got a little bit of that funk.
Yeah.
Get that funk. All right. Ken Shuttleworth.
Ken! your con Ken is getting creepier.
It's a little before.
It's a little sleepier because
I said creepier,
much
not
like
sleepier.
Well, that might be making it sound a little creepier, but
yeah.
it's because I'm ready for this vacation to kind of be over. But
Yeah, these two movies.
Yeah. So this week, to round things out, we say goodbye to the Next Generation crew. And yes, I know they're on Picard now, but that doesn't count in my opinion.
Are they all on Picard?
No.
Or a few of them?
No, but like everybody kind of like Riker and Troy showed up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Steve.
Was that it? Was that all? Oh, Data's there.
Data's there?
Data is there as a ghost.
Oh, what?
He downloaded his brain bits into a computer, and he's a ghost, and he wants to die.
Before?
Yeah, I guess it came from before because they shut him off. It's like, this guy's too much of an idiot for us to keep him alive anymore. We need to put him down.
Is what's her name? Galaga? What's her name?
Gonzo?
Guinan?
Is she in Picard?
Galaga?
I don't know.
I guess she's gonna be in season 2. I don't know. The point is that they took everything that could be the happy ending for all these people and made sure you felt like shit as you watched that show because nothing worked out very well. Like even the Rikers had a kid who died. It's like you threw that into... Anyway, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about Nemesis.
Yeah.
A movie that's supposed to be a happy ending that makes you feel like shit.
Yeah. Is it supposed to be a happy ending? I mean, I think it's supposed to be we're going to make another one, right? Oh,
no, I don't
we
think...
don't make another one.
I don't think they intended to make another one.
I think they did. I'm pretty sure they did.
Yeah,
and it got scrapped because this movie was a huge failure.
Going to be another one, and it got scrapped.
Ooh,
Which
yeah,
makes me curious what that storyline would have been. But
probably
It would have been about youth.
the prime
Obsession.
directive.
Obsession.
Maybe they would have brought
The Prime Directive.
Kirk back.
Yeah.
and Data finding humanity.
Oh,
Maybe
God.
or maybe Baby Spock.
We've had enough of that at this point, right? Like, can we all agree Generations, or it's Star Trek Generations, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It ran its fucking course.
Yeah.
I mean, there is nowhere... they had nowhere left to go, so they
You mean
made...
the Next Generation had
Next Generation, yeah, I say it
had
wrong.
run its
Sorry.
course, yes.
Had run its course because they couldn't come up with a good storyline for this, so they just made an action movie, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a big dumb action movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do want to talk a little bit about the state of Star Trek at this time too, because Star Trek was pretty much out of gas.
They ejected their core.
They ejected their core to zipper up space.
Yep.
And then UPN was like, but we need more. And people were like, but we don't really want to watch anymore.
Right.
We've seen it. We're there. We're done. So we'll talk about that too. But yeah, so this is 2002's Star Trek Nemesis.
Yeah.
And you got so this is the first time in a movie that they bring in the Romulans, and it's like from this point forward, Romulans have become a much, much bigger thing in Star Trek than they ever had been before. And I think a lot of people realize not that interesting.
No, they're just a bunch of Eddie Munsters.
Well, they're all like what makes the Romulans are that they are very duplicitous and politicky. The Klingons were always more interesting because they were the opposite of what humanity was depicted as in Star Trek, right? Like humanity is reaching out into the stars and helping people, and the Klingons just want to conquer and smash and eat, and stuff like that. So the Romulans were kind of conniving, and like that's interesting for an episode. That's interesting as a problem that they've consolidated so much power that they are a threat. Sure,
Right.
But it's kind of like if every bad guy in a movie for like the next year were just Chinese government people, you'd get bored after a while because they're really just not that interesting.
All right. Can I ask you a question?
I guess.
It's a newbie, I like to ask these newbie
sure,
Star
absolutely.
Trek questions.
Yeah, go for it.
So we have the Romulans and the Vulcans who come from the same...
They split off millennia ago.
Were they logical before they split, or is the Vulcan logic something that developed after the split? Because the Romulans don't seem very logical at all.
No, I'm not sure. Ken, do you remember anything? Because when Spock came on to Next Generation, it was to reunify the Vulcans and the Romulans to like open up like a connection.
Yeah, I don't know, but I was going to say that's a really interesting question.
Yeah, it seems like it doesn't follow or doesn't.
I
like
feel
they just wanted to make a character that was kind of Vulcanish, but not a Vulcan.
What it played from the very first time you saw the Romulans, kind of played in this Cold War like episode of the original series. People really weren't sure what the Romulans looked like back then because before you didn't have view screens and you didn't talk to each other through view screens. You had windows that saw ships, but you didn't really see people.
Okay.
And so the first time that the Federation saw Romulans, they looked like Spock, and they were all like, "Oh, is he a spy? Is some guy, some xenophobic dude on the bridge got like all sideways about it?" And Kirk had to put him in his place.
Of course he did.
Of course he did. Mm-hmm. So I think what it was I think there's an ancient tie, and then they split off, and then the Vulcans found logic. I think that's how it went.
It stands to reason. It wouldn't make sense otherwise, but I was unsure. I don't even know if that's important, but it was important to me.
No, it makes a good point because Romulans are self-centered, whereas the Vulcans are a society-centered way of thinking, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because one would reason that logic would be, it makes more sense for logic to apply as the whole, not to the individual.
Yes, the logical
Within
thing to do
the whole.
isn't always self-centered, for sure.
Exactly. So, so anyway, so the Romulans are, I mean, it's kind of interesting. It was the first time we ever saw their home planet, I think. At least I don't think they showed it in any of the other series before that. But it's like this internal political struggle that there's a second-class citizen and the Remans that are all vampire-looking dudes. And one guy in particular from the Reman side of things are going to take over, and they do it with this stuff called Theleron that basically melts your face and bones and things.
Yeah, it makes you into dust like statue.
Right.
Yeah.
So they say, hey, we want to make friends with the Federation. And Admiral Janeway, straight from being promoted over Picard from Voyager, comes in and says, hey, go to Romulus and go talk to those guys. They specifically asked for you. That's kind of a red flag.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to talk about peace, but only with you. Okay,
But only with you.
only with Picard. So it's like, okay, well, I guess we're gonna do that. Meanwhile, we're gonna find some positronic shit, and here comes the new Data, and he's an idiot.
Day derp.
Data.
Yeah.
Jason's got lots to say about Day derp.
I mean, did they ever really explain where he came from and how they got a hold of him? And was the whole plan really just to get him on the Enterprise
Yes.
to take a look at OSHA pictures again?
Yes.
Ugh.
Yes.
Yes. Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
But what I don't understand about that whole scene is when they go and they finally find all the pieces, then a whole bunch of guys come and start attacking.
Right. The people on the planet.
So later, we find out, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
Tom Hardy. Like if they would have like killed Picard at that point, everything would have just been like over.
Right.
Well, I don't think that I get what you're saying. That's just because this is an action movie. They couldn't have that discovery take place without
Action.
action.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this was
without him being able to use his new dune buggy and Worf being able to shoot a bunch of people. Obviously, they weren't there because of Tom Hardy, as you so succinctly called him. Yeah,
I already forgot
that's
what his name was.
Just some action. His name is Shabbats Shazams.
Shabadoo.
Is he Orthodox?
Yes. he didn't roll on Sundays. I know that much.
Yeah,
He
so
sure as shit doesn't fucking roll.
he is. Yeah, so this movie feels like it was a better video game than it was a movie.
A better video, like it would have made a better video game than it is a movie.
I think this is a video game.
Right.
Because they get the orders, they gotta go find the pieces of data, they gotta escape the people attacking, and then they gotta go and you gotta box your shadow self. Shadow Picard shows up.
Did you just come up with this?
No.
Oh, okay.
There's really not a lot
Yes.
of meat to this movie.
No, there really isn't.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of meat here, guys.
We're gonna start talking about Stella again at some point.
Once
this
again,
came out the
Angela,
same.
If Angela Bassett had been in this movie,
Yeah.
it would have been better.
Yeah.
Well, this came out the same day as the Hot Chick, so we could talk about that. It came out 5 days before the Two Towers.
Yeah, and not long after the second Harry Potter movie.
Yeah. This
Weirdly-
is Trapped.
Yeah.
We get one scene in the beginning that we didn't talk about when Picard is giving his best man speech. We have a Wesley Crusher and a
Who has
Gonzo
zero
sighting.
lines.
Yeah, he didn't say a thing. He just laughed. And then Guinan talks a little bit.
Guinan.
Guinan.
Yes.
I was closer than I'll ever get.
Okay,
Galactic.
fair enough.
Oh yeah, there was a Bond movie that came out around that time too.
But a bad one.
Yeah, but
2002
still.
sucks.
Still, it was a Bond movie.
Yeah.
That's a lot of competition.
The worst Bond
Yeah,
movie.
I still don't know how like Wesley Crusher got to sit at the wedding table, but because you see him, he's just back there, no lines, and then he's not even in the rest of the movie.
Who else would you have put at the table?
People that were actually part of the crew and were going to be in the movie.
Like who?
Worf.
Like a
Was Worf at the wedding table?
Worf and
Worf and Geordi.
Yeah, don't
Worf
say
and
it.
Geordi
Don't
are
do it.
not at the
What?
table. Worf, Geordi, and Guinan are at a different table.
No, Geordi is at the table. He walks away. He is at the table.
Oh, okay. Well,
Because he makes that face when Data gets promoted to first one or whatever.
oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
That is right.
This is the first Star Trek movie not to debut at number 1. And you know what it lost to?
The hot,
Hot chick?
Nope. Made in Manhattan.
Oh my God.
I don't even know what that is.
It's J-Lo.
As Jay
Oh, is it?
Jennifer
Well, that
Lopez,
makes
yeah.
sense. I mean, in a way, that makes sense. J-Lo was so hot that year.
So hot.
Super hot.
That was Bennifer, like time period too, wasn't it?
I don't.
Is this what we're going to talk about instead of Star
Let's talk about Jiggly.
Jiggly.
That's what happened to Troy and Crusher when
Gobble,
they left the Briar. They got jiggly.
You
Got jiggly with it.
Oh.
Anyway,
Oh, that made me stupid laugh. My derpy, my date derp
You had to
laugh.
provide your own laugh track.
Yeah.
Otherwise, people wouldn't realize it was a joke. or at least you could trick them into thinking it was a good one.
all right. So they show up to Romulus. And they say, okay, come beam down. After waiting for 17 hours. We're gonna a Monster Man shows up on screen. Played by the Monster Man.
Nosferatu.
Nosferatu. Nosferatu shows up. Sounds like something that'd be like at Knott's Berry Farm.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
It would be spelled with a K. So,
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So Nosferatu shows up and he's like, hey, beam down to these coordinates. Make sure you bring all your top level people. Okay. So Picard, Troy, Riker, Data,
Was Worf there?
and Worf
Yeah.
beam down. Yeah, because I said, I like Dr. Crusher and Geordi LaForge. I do not think that they're going to be up to the challenge if this goes sideways when all the other top officers are in Monster Man's place.
Right.
Well, Beverly Crusher has been captain of the bridge before.
Here we go.
So is Geordi.
And Dr. Mommy did a good job. Wasn't that in the Best of Both Worlds episodes that she was? No, that was
that was in
Riker.
the future.
It was in the...
She had her own ship in the future.
No, but she was... maybe it was the Descent episodes. Where
Oh,
she
yeah,
was-
yeah.
She was the captain of the bridge.
Yeah, because again, there's a bunch of Borg and Data's evil brother down there on that planet.
Yeah.
Send all of our top guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Crusher, you got the bridge.
Somebody's got to do it.
I guess.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. So they go down there and everything is shrouded in darkness. There ain't nobody around, and it's like all of this stuff seems really odd. And then Tom Hardy shows up, and he doesn't play coy at all. He's like, "I'm basically you, John Luke. I've been cloned from you. Here's some blood to prove it. I'm you.
You're going to need this.
Let's go. Let's have dinner. Just the two of us. I should say just the one of us. I'm you. I'm you. I'm you.
And the world is a vampire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a fucking Smashing Pumpkins video.
It is. It's Billy Corgan coming down the stairs.
Gish.
So yeah. So then
Cancel the fish gish.
Yeah, cancel the fish. Gish.
so like at this point, there's a duplicate Data that's shown up out of the blue. Who's an idiot? There's a young version of Picard running the Romulan Empire. And somebody was like, one of you guys were like,
I was, yeah.
it's like, these are supposed to be smart people, right?
Yeah. Shouldn't they be able to figure out that these two dupes showing up at the same time are probably
Well,
intertwined?
technically they did figure it out, though.
Not until after Dayderp stole their info.
No, that was real Data.
No. Data stole the data. Data figured it out, and real Data went over to the ship.
Yeah. I won't
Okay.
call them Dayderp because that's too hard to differentiate when I'm saying both
but
their
they
names.
they still figured it all out and didn't give them any of the correct information. They used Dayderp against them, so they did figure it out.
But they
At least
didn't
Dave,
tell.
the real
They
Data
didn't
did.
tell the movie that
They
though.
didn't, or us, but that's because they had to be tricksy. And again, we had to have
That's
Trixie
dicey.
Hobbitses.
we had to have the scene like we have time and again with Data where he might be bad, he might be good. Oh, this time, wink, wink, it's the real Data, and they trick the bad guys again.
This is not.
I'm not saying it's good.
No, I think Dayderp was on the ship. I think they were both on the ship.
I don't think so, because
On Shinsu Hanzu's ship, whatever his name is.
because the next time you see Dayderp, he's on the Enterprise and he's
Locked up.
Locked up. And
Yeah.
they deactivate him.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, either which way, they didn't tell us, and you got to inform your audience. You got to have the pieces in place.
But then the wink doesn't work.
No, but you got to at least have a scene where a piece is in place to where you can say, they may know something.
This is the least of this movie's worries.
Okay,
and concerns.
fair enough.
Honestly,
How,
they did an adequate job of
This is surprising.
being
to me.
clever enough in that scene.
This is surprising me
That's
that
it.
you're the one defending this scene. That's surprising to me.
It's
what you thought I would?
No, I didn't think anyone would. But the
It
least of
works.
us, Jason,
Okay,
saying
sure.
it works.
I don't say I like it. I'm just saying.
No, I know.
I'm just saying that
You're giving it
it was
credence.
adequate enough
That it
but
worked,
but
yeah.
you can see it coming a mile away because guess what? It's the plot of every fucking Generation episode. Sounds like.
Did you see it coming, Ken?
Tell us your concerns.
I honestly like when I watch a movie, I don't read too much into like what's going to happen going forward. So it was
Fair
just
enough.
kind of like, oh, okay, that happened.
Well, I mean, looking back on it in hindsight is like, okay, well, that's fine that they switched datas. But when you think back on it, like that's all I was saying. Is like thinking back on it, it's like they had no indication that they had figured it out. That's
Right.
all I'm
A
saying.
little kernel would have been nice.
A kernel is how you story tell.
There shouldn't have been a second data in the first place because it's stupid.
Well, you know what also shouldn't have been in this movie? Brain rape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did that do?
What?
Other than for something to happen later to find the ship.
Yeah, because it played no meaningful purpose at all.
Yeah, and then she's crying to Picard about being like rightfully
Violated,
violated.
as
And
she
he's
calls
like,
it, yeah.
well, no, you got to go back to work. That's
I
not
see-
great.
See,
No,
the way
it's
that
not.
that the
maybe,
way that they
maybe give her a day.
yeah, the way
Yeah.
that they did it was wrong, obviously. But she said I've been compromised, thinking like I am not useful to you because they can brain rape me. Not I need a day off because I was brain raped.
Right.
So Picard wasn't really denying her solace. He was denying her whatever else. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand
It's
what
still
you're saying.
sort of
It's
equated
stupid.
to get
It's
back
dumb.
to work.
But
Yeah, it's
yeah.
kind of a pick yourself up and dust yourself off.
Rub
and-
some-
you are still useful to
some
me
dirt
is
on
what
it.
they were trying to portray, but it came off really poorly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
A lot of this movie just comes off poorly.
Yeah.
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 One other thing that I kind of had a big problem with, and I don't know how they could have remedied this, but the majority of this movie is just the Enterprise and that ship going back and forth and what's happening. And there's like nothing else really going on.
I leaned over to Jason at one point and I said, this battle is over long. Like,
Yeah.
you think you're in the final act for an hour and a half
Mhm.
in this movie. And maybe it is the final act for the last hour and a half. There is no, I can't
Well,
think of a
Yeah,
second to third act split.
Think about this. The first act is Riker and Troy get married, find Data. Find the Data. Second act is,
the rest of the movie.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. There's no like,
The third act
Well, the
is,
second act is kind of like, ooh, is Shinzon bad or is he good? But that doesn't last very long. It's like 15 minutes.
Right, and
Because
then
it's pretty
it's
clear
action
that
to
then
the
he
end.
kidnaps him.
so the end is really an hour and a half long.
Pretty
That's why
much.
it feels ridiculous.
And the
That's
only
why
thing
we're
to
all
kind
sleepy.
of break it up is that there's two Romulan ships that come in to help, and they get obliterated in like 5 minutes.
right.
They could have done more on the Romulan side of things.
For sure.
Like if they had shown more of sort of the machination of the revolt against Shinzon and showed maybe a little bit more Romulan politics, that
Again.
could have been really interesting.
Okay, so here you go again. These are people who helped murder the entire Romulan Senate, which that scene is pretty cool. It's like, oh, look, we are seeing some Romulan politics. Oh, they're all melting. That's scary.
That's about
This is
right
what we
for
think
Romulan
about Romulan politics.
Right.
Yeah.
with the easy button.
Yep, the easy button.
The Staples easy button.
He's like, oh, I got to go pick up my order, and then everyone dies.
It's like, it's like,
she should have just like walked out like a prancing cat.
yeah. Well,
sneaking
it's
out
like
of
one
there.
of those things where it's like, it's like, oh, I think we need new leadership. Easy button,
Yep.
dead. Everybody's dead.
Staples turned into like a world destroyer later.
Right.
Yes.
I feel like she should have like peeked in the door one last time and went
Oh yeah, a little
before she left.
a Dirk Dastardly laugh or something.
I still find it hilarious that like every table in the Senate had nothing on it,
Yeah.
with people just sitting behind, and this one woman that has this random little disc
Red-
sitting on the table and
Yeah.
leaves without it. Nobody noticed.
And everyone, when it starts doing shit, they're like, "What is this?"
Well, what's funny is that thing even looks like it has a carabiner on it. So it's like obviously somebody's personal shit.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, I gotta go. See you guys never again.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, yeah, see you later. And then nobody looks over to see it's like she left her space purse or something, you know?
Yeah. But what that is a small scale representation of the weapon that Nemesis.
It's a small scale representation of our
Shinzon.
of our attention.
Yeah.
Our attention span for this movie.
Yeah. You know what else this movie failed at, except for in the beginning? Is having Worf there to let me know how I'm supposed to feel.
No,
about
he was
things.
there in the first act. 'Cause
That's what I'm saying.
One, he hated the wedding.
Yep.
We hated the wedding too. He hated romping around in the captain's personal James
Yep.
Bond vehicle.
Yes.
But he gives me no other insight the rest of the movie because Worf is, as we have said, I don't even know if we've said it on an episode, but his reactions in these two movies are exactly what the audience is feeling on multiple occasions. So when he's like, "This is dumb. No, I'm not singing. No, I'm not doing this," we're like, yes. The person who wrote this movie was like, "I'm going to use Worf as a way to tell myself not to do things, and I'm going to ignore them." If Worf doesn't like it, we shouldn't put it in there. Oh, fuck it. We'll just have Warp say no.
Yeah, I was going
Right.
to say, like,
Warp.
I liked how they
It's a
continued
Worf
that
drive.
into the movies of, like, every time Worf makes a suggestion, Picard's like, no.
Yeah. Yeah,
He,
exactly.
like, never gave a suggestion that they were like, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like he desperately wants to raise the fucking shields. When the big scary monster ship shows up, it looks like something that will destroy whole planets and eat souls. And like Worf's like, I'm gonna raise the shields, and Captain Picard's like, no. He's like, I'm gonna raise the shield. No.
What's the point of that? Like, what is... I
The
asked
point of
you
a
at the
scary
time.
ship?
No.
Oh, to scare.
Why not raise your shields? It's not like it makes you look aggressive.
Well,
It makes you look speculative, which is
Well-
not a bad thing when a ominous ship appears out of fucking nowhere.
well, they didn't appear out of nowhere. They were going to meet them, and they were on a diplomatic mission. So it was very similar to when
yeah, but it
Star
was
Trek
cloaked.
6.
Star Trek 6.
But it was cloaked and
it came
appeared out of
but
nowhere.
It came out of cloak.
Yes, that is ominous. If you expect to meet someone, you should see him coming from a long way away. If I make a meeting with you and I show up behind you with a knife,
Oh,
You
it's
know what I
fine.
mean?
No
Are you going to
shields.
turn on your force field? I mean, what are you going to do?
And they
You're gonna be on
uncloaked
the
after
defense,
17
but it didn't
hours.
but you're going to be defensive.
But it didn't have a knife. I'm just saying that from the aspect
Jason
of
loves
What
diplomacy.
is this?
movie.
What
He
is
loves this
going
movie.
on here?
I'm just saying, from the aspect of diplomacy, you're starting off on a wrong foot if you put yourself on.
You're
the
starting
defensive.
off on a wrong foot if you appear out of nowhere. You're cloaked,
But
This
and you don't
movie
announce
started
yourself.
off on the wrong foot.
Yes,
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, but they broke the rules of diplomacy first.
I don't know that they did. I mean, they just showed up at the meeting.
They showed up at the
They
meeting.
showed up
coming
a
out
little,
of cloak.
a little bit dramatically, but not with like their weapons at the ready.
They
Their
showed up
weapons were
about as dramatically as they were late.
I
which
guess
was
that
overly.
that excuses it a little bit, but the way that they showed up, I'm not.
I'm just saying,
I'm not cool with.
what does it take to to put your shields up? Like one press of a button, it could give it a second.
I agree.
Okay, but then Dracula shows up on screen. At that point, I'm like, fucking shields, fucking shields.
All right, that might be a little jarring. That
Yeah.
that might poop my pantalones enough. Yeah.
and come on, Klingons is at the he hates Romulans even more than the people do.
True.
I mean, he knows what Romulans are up to.
I mean, God damn it, you're in space. You should have your shields up all the time.
Well, that's what the deflector shield is at the bottom part there, the little orange disc.
Oh, okay.
That's to keep debris from hitting the ship. It projects a sort of a force field.
I
Did
don't
you know that? Anybody know that?
No.
No.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Sure didn't.
That's why it's called the deflector dish. It deflects space junk.
Cool,
Steve.
Steve taught me that. I miss you, Steve.
Too bad it couldn't deflect this movie.
Oh yeah. Ooh.
Yeah,
This
so
is space junk, isn't it?
it is.
Yep.
This is Space Junk the movie.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah. Basically, Shinzon was designed to later replace Captain Picard. Now, we spend half a movie saying the ages don't add up. Mm-hmm. This is wrong. This is bad. And then they eventually explain it. That's out of order because meanwhile, okay, let me explain something here. when something like that happens where it's like, yes, I'm supposed to replace you in the Federation, have a Romulan agent working in the Federation. And immediately I'm thinking, he's 76 years younger
that doesn't make no damn sense.
Yeah, it's like he's way younger than Captain Picard. And then they don't explain it. So now all the time I'm saying he's way younger than Captain Picard, which allows for me to now nitpick every other little thing that's happening. And then 45 minutes later, when they say, oh, he can age super fast at some point they'll flip a switch and he'll be you at that point, basically. And I'm like, okay, I could have used that because I hated everything else up to this point.
Is that why he's dying, basically? Is because they didn't flip the switch or the switch doesn't work?
They needed his blood to activate the switch?
Maybe.
Oh, maybe.
They needed his blood for something.
Oh, it was a total transfusion. Yeah. That's what it is. A complete and total taking all the blood out of one and deflating the person.
And that's basically the whole plot of this movie is this
Vampirism?
guy needs a blood transfusion.
Yeah.
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 But it ultimately, after like so many attempts of trying to, well, not a ton, but that was kind of another thing, is that he only made like a couple attempts to actually get Picard so he could have this procedure. And then at some point he's just like, fuck it. Let's kill him and then go destroy Earth. I'm going to die.
Out of time.
I don't care anymore. Yeah. Yep. He's a little aggro.
Little emo.
He's
a little 1990s Billy Corgan.
Here's that. But he also reminds me of Dr. Evil and more so Seth Green when he takes over for Dr. Evil at the end of Austin Powers 3.
Sure.
Like he's very like, Daddy didn't love me, like kind of acting, but it's really Picard who doesn't.
Why does he have like the chapped lip?
It's a cut.
It's like it looks like a cut. Yeah.
I got a feeling he got that in the mines.
Yeah.
On Remus.
Okay. It's a weird choice.
I have nothing for that.
It's a weird choice.
I don't know. All I know is this bad guy.
I mean, maybe it's there so you could tell them apart.
I mean, Hardy's that took a second for me to understand.
The look he gave when he did that was insane.
I can't see that look. He has to look the other way to give it.
Like, it was one of those things where I was like, like 45 seconds happened in a split second of me figuring out what that face he contorted
Oh, so you
into.
froze time.
I froze time, yeah.
You Picarded it.
We didn't even talk about the time freezing of the last
Yeah,
Didn't
because
really
it was
matter.
stupid.
Didn't really matter.
Yeah. But it's less
better.
stupid than anything
All right.
Sorry, Star Trek fans. I apologize.
It's fine. Most people don't like this movie. I would argue most people don't like this movie. That may not be accurate. I don't know.
The other beef I kind of had was when they initially were going to, was it Sector 1575 or something, to meet up with the fleet.
Jeez,
yes.
man, that's excellent recall. Sorry, go ahead.
Was that right? I don't even know.
Real quick, what ships were listed when they pulled it up on the OSHA poster?
One was the Archer. I saw that.
Yeah.
We won't go on a tangent about Archer. Yeah, what I was going to say is, like, when they were going to meet all those ships, and then they get stopped because of Tom Hardy, and they start getting fired upon, at no point did anyone call out, like, hey, all you ships that are over there, we're under attack, come help.
Yeah.
And it's like, that would have made it probably a little bit more entertaining.
Yeah,
I'm guessing
for sure.
the green gas was meant to be like a block, we need something to prevent them from contacting.
Did they maybe say something about communications and not being able to?
Oh yeah, they may have just thrown a.
I think their communications were broken, and then that's when Picard is like, "Shields up" or something, or at the ready, and then they got hit. I think.
I don't know.
Yeah, they may have thrown a one-liner in there to explain everything.
That's right. They were in the stellar cartography room.
They were in the room that nobody knows what it is.
Right. The room that it's like when everybody's
quit his job.
when everybody's on red alert. it's like two of the most important people on the bridge are not on the bridge. They're in this room looking at stuff. And then it like, bzz, and they're like, oh shit. They're like, seals up. We got to do this thing now. Because
we got to do this thing now.
Yeah. That's what this movie
If that's
is.
how you're going to explain stuff in this episode, we're going to have a hard time getting to the end.
I like it. It's brief.
Yeah.
Well,
We're going to do this
not-
thing and then that thing and then film seizure.
Yeah. Well, this movie could have done that too.
No, I know.
Because that was exactly what Shinzon was waiting for them to get into that green gas. And then that's when he started, because he was right behind him. He was like tailing him.
Star Trek has a gas problem.
Yeah, so do I. But that's
I'm being serious.
That's
it's a
beside the
crutch
point.
to almost every story. There's like, we're either hiding in the gas or we're using the gas or the gas is gas.
Ever since
Gas
Star
is
Trek
melting
2.
faces. It melts faces in First Contact. It melts faces in this.
There's only so much you can do in space, right? But they lean on the gas idea a lot.
I'd argue that in space, it's relatively infinite. What you could do
I guess,
in there.
but they choose to tell all their stories
Right.
on the ships, not on planets that have interesting and different. That's where Star Wars supersedes, and I hate to bring up Star Wars, supersedes Star Trek for me. I know.
Did he do a thing?
He
Did he
did
do a
my
thing?
no.
He did the thing.
He did my no thing.
Yeah.
But it has interesting worlds and new places you explore. It doesn't happen that often in Star Trek, at least in the movies.
Oh, yeah, that's more of a TV show thing.
Yeah, I'd like some new
Sure, I can understand that. Because, yeah, it's like basically
Well, they
Generations spent a lot of time on that one planet that got blown up.
Yeah.
First Contact spent a lot of time on the ship.
A lot of time on the planet too, though.
in Earth. That's Earth. I know Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's
There's no newness to Earth for me.
Well,
it's like-
Insurrection
it's like-
did
it was
try
like
to do
the-
something
It was like
different.
Earth from the Postman.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Except they had technology.
Yeah.
Was
in
Tom
one
Petty
set.
there saying, "Oh, now you're famous, Commander Riker"?
It would have
Yeah.
made it.
They're gonna make a
better.
statue of you.
Yeah. And then they spent a bunch of time on the Baccarat planet or whatever. Baku or
But that had an interesting-
But there was a concept there.
There was a concept. It had an interesting idea to it, but it still looked like
Yeah, well,
Arizona.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that was like Bakersfield or something.
Yeah, Bakersfield. Yeah, like I don't know. Maybe
It's
I'm
like,
being too
we're-
picky.
We're going to Bakusville,
Bakersville,
California.
Yep. I've spent a week in Bakersfield training people on e-tapestry.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I went to L.A.
Yeah, that's awesome. Way more awesomer.
Actually,
Sorry,
no. L.A. kind of sucks.
I'd rather
Hollywood
go to
was
LA
fine.
than Bakersfield.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, what's in Bakersfield?
Nothing.
Isn't that? Wasn't that
Their
about-
airport has one terminal or one gate.
Oh my God! Was that where?
Steve lives.
No, was that? That was not a Steve break. That was that where Gary Busey pulled over Johnny Depp in Fear and Loathing when he was like trying to escape Las Vegas. Did he get
tells
the
them-
Bakers?
When he tells them we can't stop here, it's backcountry.
No. Gary Busey was the roadside cop
Oh yeah,
who pulls him over and it's like, you look like you need some sleep, son,
yeah. I
because
don't
he
know.
was like raging on everything. Anyway,
Yep.
Sure, Bakersfield. Yep.
yeah. Anyway, it's someplace in between L.A. and Las Vegas.
It is.
Yeah, it's about halfway, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, okay. Welcome to Bakersfield.
This is riveting
Caesar.
stuff.
It's where the movie U-Turn took place. Not in reality, but
Okay.
yeah.
So basically, yeah, that is the movie. It's Vampire Man needs blood.
Wants to also destroy Earth.
Wants also to destroy Earth because he's angry.
He wants the Federation to go bye-bye. For no
Along
real
with,
good reason, honestly.
yeah, because
His real enemy should be the Romulans.
right, because he's mad at everybody. He's mad at authority.
He's a petulant child.
Yes,
And he's got a pretty bad weapon.
he's got a pretty bad weapon, and he has a mind rapey buddy.
Yeah.
Nosferatu. I wonder if his. Then there was the other guy who I think was also like on the bridge, and he was like giving crazy orders to, and he didn't look like he was really feeling it anymore.
No,
I'm gonna call him Scott Dracula.
Scott Dracula. Every time Scott Dracula looked at the screen, he was like, "What? You want me to do what?"
Yeah, he's like, I'm not so sure. Guy.
Yeah, no, I don't know about that one, guy.
It's like Scott Dracula. Just go ahead and like take one of the escape pods out of here. Yeah. I guess he died, huh?
Scott Dracula?
Yeah,
Yeah. Unceremoniously. He
probably.
was like, "Ah!"
So at one point, Picard gets taken prisoner, and Data goes over to save him, disguised as idiot Data.
Yes.
I don't know, idiot Data just got me.
Anyway, and idiot Data says, look, check out this inside my wrist here. I've got a little one-man transporter. Why don't you use it to get off? They still think I'm idiot Data. And Picard and Data have a 25-minute talkie scene in the room with a passed-out Romulan or Riemann.
Yeah, it's like, can you not tell me when we get out of here?
Yeah.
I want to know why it was so difficult for Geordi to make 2 of those.
Well, now, wait a minute. Geordi's got his regular day job to do. He's got the rest of the ship to take care of, you know.
But still.
No, you know what it probably was? Barkley probably put that together, and nobody else wanted. Like, it's
No,
like
it probably
that's
won't
probably
work.
not going to work.
Yeah.
Well, and at
Do you
no
know why-
point did Geordi ask Data, like, why do you need this? And, wait, you're not coming back? No, here. Like, he never asked, like, why
Yeah,
do you only need one?
Who's the guy at the desk signing out that one-man transporter, right? Because he's not asking the right questions.
Well, so I'll tell you the reason. And this is very scientific and technical. The story wouldn't work if there were more than one of them.
Right. There's no movie without.
It's not a device. It's a plot device.
Well, ultimately, they didn't even need to, because they got out on their own without it, and then somebody had to stay on the ship to blow it up, so they only needed one anyway.
Well, I mean, this is later. This is earlier than later.
I know, but they
In this
Time
scene,
means
because
nothing.
Picard says,
Picard
"Well,
says,
we'll
find a way for both
find
of
a way
us
for
to-
both
yeah.
of us." Yeah, and they decide to drive the shuttle through the ship, which is pretty dumb.
Well, they had to because there was a force field everywhere except for that one window that they went out of.
Because nobody would think to fly through that.
Yeah, nobody would put the force field over the window because that's the least likely place someone would drive a vehicle out of. God, this movie's dumb.
Well, they needed a Fast and Furious scene because that had kind of become popular by then.
That
too.
was also would have been the scene in the video game where you have to drive the shuttle out of the ship, and it gets real hard and twisty and fast.
They stole it from pod racing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now this is pod racing. Now, if Data had said, "Now this is the ship racing" or something, then it would have been like, "I hate this movie." I would have turned it off, ejected it from my machine, and thrown it out the window.
I'm surprised he didn't do it anyway.
Well, you know.
When Data offered to drive and Picard's like, no. No,
Well,
I'm a
because
much
he
better
drove
driver
earlier.
than you.
Yeah,
I
he
know. There's this whole, it's like a midlife crisis Picard
Yeah,
in this movie.
it is. It's midlife crisis Picard versus my dick still works Picard.
Yeah. Versus I can detect variance with my ears Picard. See, they should have had like a callback to that in this movie.
Yeah.
They should have had like,
Well, these 4 movies kind of exist in a vacuum of their own.
I know, but
Like
like,
in 4 vacuums.
even in this movie, you have Picard who's genetically the same as this other Picard. He could have tricked the other ship, Shaz Shabbat's ship, and made it self-destruct or something. Like they could have done something cool with the fact that they are the same, but they didn't.
True. They did nothing cool.
Nothing with that.
Nothing really
They're
at all.
Yeah. There was no real need for them to be the same person.
Yeah. Well, later there's a big space battle, and then Data dies.
Yep.
You just did the thing.
The thing this movie should have done, which was get to the fucking point. I feel like they started with the end and they worked backwards.
Yeah.
It's like, we're going to kill Data. All right, well, what's the rest of your movie? I don't know. Just come up with some bullshit. Put it in there.
A lot of good writers work backwards. So, I mean, it's not like people don't have the end in mind when they start something is often done. Right? But they did not.
Well, they were trying to figure out how to kill someone in the cast since Generations. If they wanted to kill someone in the cast in Generations, and it got vetoed by the cast of Generations.
That's hilarious.
But then they decided, well, what about if we kill Kirk? And Kirk was just like, whatever. He just kind of shrugged his shoulders, like, okay,
No,
you
I'll
kill
take
me
that.
for $3 million.
right, right. So
And
they,
20 minutes of screen time.
You can kill me twice for $6 million.
Yeah. It's like, well, we do have
we
that.
did, and we
It's
have
$3 million a kill.
3 minutes ago. Well, we can only afford 2.
Oh, man, imagine a movie in which they just keep going into the Nexus, coming out and killing a Kirk, going into the Nexus, getting another Kirk, and coming out and killing him.
He's like, cha-ching.
Someone should make like a House of Cosby's about that.
House of Kirks.
A House of Kirks.
A House
I mean,
of
could you
Jim
keep
Kirk.
getting people out of
worse
the...
than the last.
Are there, like, can you keep bringing Kirks out if the other one isn't dead yet?
Well, no,
Like, does it
you
keep
got to
replicating?
kill them off, and then you got to go back and get another one, and then kill them off.
I'm just thinking like a bunch of Kirks, like all at the same time. out in
just
the
pouring out of the
Yeah,
Nexus.
just a bunch of...
like Agent Smith's in the Matrix.
Yes. It's the Burley Kirk sequence.
Burly Kirks. They are burly.
It's just
God.
raining Kirks.
It's raining Kirks. Hallelujah. It's a Star Trek episode. We got to sing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jeez. You and them.
Yeah. Is this going to be the shortest film Seizure episode of all time?
No.
Okay.
So yeah. So basically, they do a ramming speed. They do ram the Enterprise into the
The Worf
scimitar.
maneuver.
Yeah. And that was all right.
It was cool looking,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but what did it accomplish?
Well, it stopped the scimitar from being able to go into cloak and move.
Okay. It accomplished something.
Yeah, but the problem is that the Enterprise couldn't do anything either. After
Right.
that.
Because they just reversed and tore up more of the front end of the Enterprise.
Yes, and then Picard goes over to go blow up the Thaleron machine because at that point Tom Hardy's like, fuck this, I'm out.
He's getting real veiny.
He's getting pretty veiny,
Really pale.
getting really pale, really veiny, and he decides, okay, well, I'll just shoot our super weapon and kill them all, and then we'll I guess somehow get to Earth and we'll
it's
kill
gonna
Earth.
take them a long time to get there.
And I won't die before we get there.
Yeah, it's cool. So Picard goes over, and it's the Genesis wave from Star Trek II, but this time Kirk isn't just sitting in his chair trying to figure out how they're going to get out of it while Spock kills himself. It's Picard actually going over and deciding to kill himself.
Oh, so instead of Spock killing himself, Picard kills himself.
No, Data kills himself and sends Picard back.
But Picard also killed himself.
Oh yeah,
I thought that's
with
what you were
with
saying.
the pipe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
There's
good point.
a lot of suicide in this movie.
There is. Starfleet suicide. Don't do it.
Yep. Nope. 911's a joke.
He kills Tom Hardy with that spear thing he like ripped off the wall.
Yeah, he just rips it off the wall.
And then like you still got the countdown of when the thing is gonna shoot, and he's just standing there.
See, that made sense to me. Like that.
Why? Because he obviously wasn't going to take the time to try to stop the weapon.
I think he would. He still had 30 seconds. He's Jean-Luc Picard.
It was down to like 10.
No, it was 30. It was 30 when Geordi threw, or not Geordi wasn't even there, was he?
Data.
When Data threw Shinsu Hansu to the floor.
I think it was 10.
Okay,
'Cause it
let's
goes-
go watch it again and find out.
Because it goes
No.
fast. And that's kind of what I like about
It was
the scene
like 10
is it goes
seconds.
fast. There's not like this tearful goodbye. It's pop the transporter on him, transports him out. Picard realizes, oh shit, I'm being transported off the ship. He finally kind of snaps to, and then Data turns and shoots the...
He shoots it like 3 seconds.
Yeah. And blows the whole fucking thing up. There's no tearful goodbye, which I kind of like.
Yeah.
They saved their mourning for the last hour of the movie.
Yeah.
Which feels like...
When there was 25 minutes left, and we're like, what the hell?
Yeah, and then Picard has to explain Data's life to B4, who just stares at him blankly. Like I mean, it doesn't matter if B4 is activated or turned off. He gives the same dumb look.
I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't understand. It's like, ugh, all right, well, let's do
Was
this.
this
over
like,
again.
did original Data, Tabula Rasa Data behave like this?
No.
He was never like
he was
this,
very
right?
robotic early on.
But he wasn't as twitchy.
I feel like
he
it
wasn't a
before.
dumbass.
maybe was supposed to be like a callback to original
No.
Data, but no.
No.
That's
No,
dumb.
he's this is head trauma Data.
head trauma Data.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Idiot Data.
Yeah, and if his response to everything saying, why? That was getting on my nerves.
It was getting on Picard's nerves, so he put him in the console. He put his head in the console.
Did I say something wrong? You exist.
Yeah,
That's all
you're a
it is.
day derp.
You're a day derp. So B4 begins to kind of sing this song that Data. Every one of these fucking movies, they got to sing, don't they?
Yes.
It's like Jesus Christ.
Data
Like I'm
actually
glad.
sang at the beginning for the wedding.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And so
Thankfully
like,
not
Worf,
the
what
whole
did
song.
Worf? Who was this?
Irvin Berlin.
Irvin Berlin. Worf being Worf for us again.
Yeah.
Yep.
Drunk on
Sorry,
the
we're-
Romulan ale.
Yep.
So like he starts kind of singing that song again, and like I think Picard gets the impression that like, oh, Data's in there, but as it plays out, no, there are two different directions that this movie takes off from in the canon and non-canon of Star Trek. But the other thing that happens is that Riker does get promoted. He gets married and he gets a ship all at the same time. So he's going to go off to the Titan with Troy, and Picard's got a new first officer and a new counselor on incoming, basically. Now, originally it was supposed to be Data who's going to be stepping up into that. There is a scene cut out of this movie. They decided to end the movie where they did, but originally the movie ends after, on his way back to the bridge, Riker is telling this new guy who's going to be the new first officer that that Picard likes it when his first officers call him John Luke as a joke. So when the guy comes in, it's like, oh, I'm so looking forward to working with you, Jean Luc. And then Picard like stares him down with like daggers.
Yeah.
And everybody starts laughing. And then that's
Because
That
we
would've been
needed
a
that
better way to end
hilarious ending, right?
right.
You say a better way to end it?
At least you would have gone out with some humor. I mean,
Yeah, instead it's all down and everybody's dead.
Well, I think that would have been a worse ending, but I also think the way they ended it was bad, and you can't redeem it. You can't use humor at that point in a humorless movie. All of a sudden,
Right.
right? You know what I mean? It would have been just like, what the fuck? Why is everyone laughing all this?
Well, I think B4 is supposed to be funny, right? He's supposed to be funny.
Is he?
No.
I don't find him.
No,
funny.
is he supposed to be?
I don't
funny?
know, but he's not.
The only part of this movie that had any kind of heart, besides like, I don't know, any kind of heart, was the very beginning, and it sucked.
Yeah. That forced best man speech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway.
The Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 did this whole thing better.
What, moving?
Moving and the death of a character and saluting that character.
Oh, yeah.
And like all of the.
Yeah.
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 That's the way you handle that stuff.
Exactly. Especially like we only had seen Yondu for one movie plus the second movie, like maybe 1.5 movies. We've just spent 15 years with Data, and I don't feel that's like, oh, he died. That's,
Well, yeah, he died and then he was still there. That's a problem. Even though it's not Data, it's Brent Spiner's face, right? Like you didn't
he's
kill
right
the character.
Yeah, it's like we had to wait a whole extra movie to get Spock back. Like Spock showed up for the last 2 minutes of the movie, right?
Yeah.
Of Star Trek 3. And then, so like he's practically not there for Star Trek 3.
He directed that one, right?
Yeah.
Nimoy? Yeah. So clever.
Yeah. So, but anyway.
We talked about that during
Yeah, we talked about that. So,
yeah, for killing off a major character, what they did afterwards. I mean, I am like you. I'm kind of glad they didn't go into like this whole thing, but I kind of felt like them just standing around drinking a glass of wine and like Riker sharing a memory of the first time that he saw him, and like I noticed that like Troy was the one that was most upset out of all of them, and like I would have thought,
which is shocking
I would
because
have
she
thought
can't face
Geordi
that.
would have been like the most upset because he was kind of like
his best
Data's
friend.
best friend.
Yeah.
You know what it was missing? It was missing that moment, like in Star Trek II, when they when they send Spock out into space,
And Kirk's thinking about it.
but that break, you remember, in Kirk's voice,
Oh, yeah,
when he's
yeah.
eulogizing Spock, is missing the moment like that.
Right. Yes, and there's a point of reflection as they watch this. The death of something created the beginning of something else, and they're reflecting on that. And it's I just recently found out that DeForest Kelly on the spot. What's the word I'm looking for?
He did a
ad-libbed.
Ad-lib, yeah.
He ad-libbed the line, he's not really dead, not as long as you remember him. And it's like, that's a perfect line because that's happening. Like, Kirk is thinking about that right then. He's thinking about what's next and he's gone. So it's like.
It's also a clever bridge to the next movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a super clever bridge to the next movie
And
that
that's
I
why
don't
I
think
think-
they knew.
Well, that's the thing. I think that they had fully intended to bring Data right back with B4.
Sure.
And Brett Spiner already had a script, so I just think it was kind of on everybody's mind, even the audience's mind was like, well, I mean,
Yeah, this
there's
is
a
Spock.
very easy way to bring him back, right? So there's just no weight to it.
Right. Yeah, at the end of Star Trek II, in 1982, you didn't know Spock was coming back.
Right.
There's a thing.
There might not be another Star Trek movie then, right? Like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know. Back
But
then, nobody cared.
They give you a
you know?
good tease, but you're still not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
I mean,
if
it's
it ended
there. It's
forever,
in the story.
if
Yeah.
it ended forever there, and you
It's
didn't have
fine.
the search for Spock, or you didn't have anything after, you've been like, that was a great end for
Yeah.
Star Trek.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's a clever backdoor into bringing him back.
Right.
Because, that remember, well, that could be anything. Remember what I did. Remember that. Tell him what I went to do.
Well, and
And
they
why?
shot him into a planet that, like, terraforms life, right?
Right.
So you had to be thinking, like, he's going to be reborn there. Like, that has to be in your head before. And if they never did it,
just the
Sure.
scene when
Totally.
they shoot him and you see him like kind of go around the planet and then the sun comes out from
Yeah.
behind it.
Yeah.
Th- it's
that
telling you that.
That's like,
Yeah.
like you said, that could have stopped at Star Trek 2 and everyone would have felt like, oh man, I'm sad, but I'm not like
I'm not upset.
miserable about
yeah,
it.
the sun came
This
up.
movie,
Yeah.
it's like if there was going to be another one, they basically showed you how they're going to segue into it. And
Yeah.
there's nothing exciting or suspenseful
And they basically
about that.
did the same thing they did with Spock because they just transferred all of his memories into something else.
Right.
Yeah.
It's pretty dumb.
Yeah. Star Trek has a problem in general with, well, it worked for Star Trek 2.
Yeah.
So,
Right. Oh boy,
Yeah.
do they.
yeah. Whereas you can make things like the ending of X2, where there is that Star Trek 2 ending. It's like, yeah, that works because the ending works. It's not just saying, well, what's the story that works? Do that again.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's a supermassive black hole in the center of Star Trek that's called Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. And as great as that is, it's forever going to be like, remember this? And that's a problem.
Yeah, you can't keep remaking the same movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's also why I think the best ones since 2 reject that formula.
Yeah.
You know,
4 went comedy.
4 on comedies.
6 is political thriller.
Right. And then Borg is a horror film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, and there can be things that are moving in any of those, but it can't be the exact same thing where guy dies, but we have a way to bring him back. So anyway, so there are two directions that this story continues. For years, the story was that Data did reemerge inside of B4, renamed himself Data, and was Picard's first officer.
Is this novelization you're talking about?
This was there was a IDW did a comic book prequel to the 2009 Star Trek
Okay.
that basically led up to the Romulan system being destroyed by the supernova that Spock went to go try to stop, but then got sucked into the black hole. Well, Data became the captain of the Enterprise after Picard either retired or got promoted. So there, Data does return, and he is the first officer. He is the captain. He does become the captain of the Enterprise, because the all important scene that's going to be important to Trekkies is not in Nemesis. The new first officer is not there.
Right.
So that continues on where Data does return. The other direction that it went, which is technically kind of canon because it is licensed and written off to be the prequel to Star Trek 2009, which part of that exists in this universe. The part where Spock tries to save the Romulans, got pulled into a black hole. That's all part of this timeline. The rest of it's the separate timeline.
Right.
Then the other direction that this story takes is the Picard direction, which is Data did really die. They had to shut off B4 because he was too head traumaed to survive. So they're like, yeah, he's a problem. So turn him off, but put all of Data's memories into this computer. And Data's like, kill me, please. And Picard ultimately does, like, shut him off forever, because that was, as Data puts it, that's the finality of his life would be the ultimate ascension to humanity, is that
He can die.
he can die. Yeah. Which is, that scene in the last episode with Picard and Data is really, really, really good, because it does put a button on Data's human growth. Much better than this movie does. But it does kind of make sense, because we do know he downloaded he put his brain into B4.
Right.
So it's there, right? So, but anyway, the assumption that a lot of people have, and I think there have been some novels that call this, is that Picard's, because again, the first officer coming on board is not in this movie, that Worf became his first officer because he was next in line after Data. So Worf became ultimately the captain of the next Enterprise too, was what a lot of people assume. But
I can dig it. I can dig Captain Worf
shit, yeah.
of the Enterprise.
Fuck yeah.
I might watch that.
Yeah, I would too. I wouldn't watch it if it's on Picard.
Kirk's rolling over in his grave.
What a Klingon on
Yeah.
the captain of his ship?
Yeah. Because we all know he's never trusted Klingons, and he never will. He'll never forgive them for the death of his boy.
Yes, that's the exact one. Yeah.
He'd die on that bridge. Straight as that.
Well, it was Worf's granddad who was sort of trying to defend him in Klingon court.
Right.
Yes.
Klingon kangaroo court.
Ay, ay, ay.
So anyway, this is not a good ending. This is not Star Trek VI ending, sailing off into the sunrise.
Man, what a great ending.
doing that last heroic thing as a crew,
Uh-huh.
and then sailing off. This is two guys, and if I were Jonathan Frakes or LeVar Burton or Michael Dorn or Gates McFadden or Marina Sirtis, I'd be like, what am I supposed to be doing here? So I'll cash your check. Do I have to show up today?
Yeah.
And because this is a two-person show, and it really starts to kind of feel ego-y in a different way than Shatner and Nimoy had it. But that's because The Next Generation was always a collection of all of the actors, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. I feel like these movies, though, had been trending this way. Right?
Yeah. No, I agree. I
Yeah.
agree with that.
First Contact would have been a good ending for this universe, right?
Yeah.
I think so.
They basically saved the Federation,
Yeah. You don't get much bigger or better than that.
right? That would have been a good ending for
And
this
that
run.
That would have been a much better story to end Data on as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
Yeah,
sure.
let his
Yeah.
face get melted off in the goo, in the gas goo.
yeah, He would. Yeah,
Well, I would say that I do like Insurrection better than Nemesis. I definitely do.
But what about Nemesis compared to Generations?
Generations is so bad.
At least there is excitement in Nemesis.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's I don't know.
my take is, as you said, for Insurrection, you could see it as a 2-part episode, like a decent 2-part episode. I can't even see this movie as a decent one.
Well, it could be a
Episode.
decent one-part episode if they trim the fat.
Right? They'd have to do a lot to get it there.
Yeah.
So I think that Insurrection is a better movie, while this one, for half of it, has more entertainment value.
Sure.
And then it's just like, I just want to go to bed. I want to check out.
I want to go to bed. I just shit myself and I want to go to sleep now.
Yeah.
It's a drag. It
Yeah.
really is a drag.
Beam me out of here.
Yeah. Beam me out,
Yeah.
Scotty.
I guess I
The
should.
only thing I think keep coming back to on Generations is what little Kirk you get is pretty fun,
Sure.
right? And there's not a whole lot of fun happening in Nemesis.
None.
No.
Zero.
No.
Yeah, this is a dark movie.
There's no fun.
I mean, they try to have fun with the relationship between the characters, but the action stuff gets in the way. Like, the movie gets in the way of its own fun.
Yeah.
And it's just, this is a big old fat nothing burger. You know what this makes me think of? It makes me think of Rise of Skywalker. It's a whole lot of nada going on in that movie, and it's overpacked.
Yeah.
And it's just action. It's just, we got to zip to this planet. We got to go to this planet. We got to go to here. Uh-oh, here's this guy who lives in a dark, scary monster world. He's our bad guy, but he's not compelling. We don't know why he's the bad guy. We don't really understand his perspective.
Yeah.
It's an overstuffed nothing burger.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I did want to bring up, we briefly talked about the whole brain rape thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a very, very tenuous connection to how it's called back later. So, like, okay, yeah, like it's sexy time for the Rikers, and all of a sudden Deanna sees
Bald Tom Hardy.
bald Tom Hardy.
And then Nosferatu.
And then Nosferatu, who's like, you were never going to leave you, blah, 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 blah.
Never
And
gonna
it's-
give you up.
And
Just
don't-
gonna
gets-
rape your mind.
Oh, God. That's terrible.
Oh my goodness.
But then, so then it's like, and then she like it's a violation. Why they were able to do that is not very clear. I guess the Remans are psychic, but then it's used so that she can open up her brain to go look for Nosferatu
Right.
when they're cloaked because they can't find them and they're being hammered by them. So she's able to connect it and I guess relay that to Worf to shoot.
And then they
like it
sink
would
their
make sense if
battleship.
both of their hands were on the targeting, and then she's like, "Nyeh," and she's like guiding him.
Like
Some
a
kind of,
Ouija?
Yeah, like a
board
Ouija
shit,
board.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a Ouija
Their
targeting.
both of their hands were on it to start.
And then she walked over to the other side of the bridge.
Yeah.
And then she's like, fire. And it's
Yeah.
like, but where? It would
Right.
have been like, Worf, you needed to be me on that. But where?
That
But where?
that
Okay.
again feels like writing backward a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, how are we gonna beat the cloaking device? Well, we'll do something with Troy's mind powers. Well, how do we set that up? Oh, we have her brain raped.
Which is her whole purpose in this movie, other than to be married.
Yeah.
Married and brain raped. She did not pass the Bechdel test.
No, she did not.
Anyway, so yeah, there was that.
Well, her and Dr. Mommy talked about the boobs in the last one, so
But that was funny. That's a funny
It
scene
is a
because
funny-
it
it is a
led
funny
to a
scene.
funny, like, Data not knowing what to do with that information and immediately going over to us in the audience and saying, do your boobs feel more firm? And us in the audience being like, what? and that was, again, we are Worf. Yeah. There is a little bit of a sad story about Tom Hardy with this movie. Tom Hardy was a huge Star Trek fan, and he was so excited to get this. And he's acting his balls off in this movie.
yeah, he is.
And everybody saw it. Everybody agreed this guy's got something interesting, and he became a big star since then. However, the fans hated this movie and directed it at him
Oh,
to the point where he admitted that he was suicidal for a little while after this.
oh, jeez.
Wow.
That's
Yeah, so
sad.
fans, you suck.
Yeah.
Our fans are awesome unless they suck, but
Our fans are awesome unless they suck.
yeah, in which case they suck.
Clear as mud right there.
Just like this movie.
Yep.
Boy, that's shitty.
Yeah.
Not surprising,
That
but-
happens so many times,
Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah, it's like it's not his. He's doing everything he can
Absolutely.
to make this something
He was good
more
with what
than
he was really good with what he was given. He just
Exactly.
wasn't given a lot.
right. It's like he is giving this more depth than what was on paper.
Yeah. In his Dr. Evil-y sort of way. I
Right.
thought he was going to ask for $1 million at one point, but
1 million space bucks.
I will tell you, it totally blew my mind years later when I realized that was Tom Hardy. Because when it came out, he was nobody.
oh right,
And it was several years later that I realized, oh my God, he was the guy from Nemesis.
He was young Picard.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, little nitpicky things that the Star Trek fans hate. It was well established in Next Generation that Picard was not bald at the Academy. He had hair. In fact, it's a really funny toupee in that episode. So, like when Chuck was saying that he wanted to see Picard in a toupee, it's like we could have just watched that episode where Q plays. Basically, it's a Wonderful Life with Picard,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
and he gets stabbed, and he doesn't get the.
Yeah.
He takes that back, so he's no longer the risk taker, and he ends up as like a shitty blue shirt, like fuck up
Yeah.
on the Enterprise, and he's getting reamed by Riker all the time. But anyway, that would have been a better thing to watch than Nemesis.
Yep.
This is not the. I mean, I guess this movie's better than Star Trek V. I can't believe that's a sentence that could be said. I guess this is better than Star Trek V, which means it's obviously better than Generations.
I've forgotten Star Trek V, and I will probably forget this movie.
Fair
They're
enough.
both just not good. I mean, it doesn't matter which one's better.
Yeah, I've forgotten Star Trek V. I don't even.
Search for God.
Why does,
Oh,
why
that-
does
that thing.
God need a starship, Ken?
Well, at least it's got good lines like that.
Yeah, now I remember. that.
I would rather watch Star Trek 5 than
Yeah,
this.
fair enough. I mean, I guess I would say that this production is better,
Yeah, sure. It looks better.
but yeah, I mean, Generations, Nemesis, and Star Trek V are they're on the bottom end of the 9. They're in the bottom third.
Oh, for sure.
They're not getting a bid to the tournament. They're too far in the bottom of their division.
Again, though, I think I would watch both of those before I watch this, just because original cast Kirk.
Sure.
Just a little bit more lighthearted at times. Some
Maybe
touching moments in 5.
Yeah, like at the very least, I guess what the difference is that Nemesis does feel very lifeless.
Yeah. You know, that's a thing with these movies too. Is I never felt as much of the camaraderie. Like you get a lot of it in the original series, you know, and laughing and palling around and being, you know, generally like each other because we've been through a lot, right? And that's
Right.
what you get a lot in the original Star Trek movie, the original cast Star Trek movies, is you get that in spades. Like,
Which is funny because they all left that series thinking we're never coming back. We barely like each other.
right.
And it was just a job. And then it was through the fans that they created their camaraderie.
Well, I'm just saying not only that, but the way the movies are written, you know, they really lean into the friendship
Yeah.
of the characters. These movies, they it's there, but it feels a little listless. It's just it feels more mechanical. I don't believe it as much.
Yeah, which is weird because they had more than twice as many episodes to show us, almost as if they said, they can watch the TV show.
You know what
if
it
they wanna
feels
see
like? It feels like these people didn't like each other as much personally as the original cast may have. Most of them.
Yeah, but it didn't really.
Well, that came later, right? They didn't.
Well, nobody liked Shatner on set
Right.
because he and I'm not going to defend Shatner, but I can kind of understand the philosophy that he was going under because he's top billed, and yet Spock gets all the recognition. So I'm sure that probably poured out over. He was trying to throw his weight around.
Let me
and there's a
restate
lot of
that.
But Nimoy and Shatner did become friends.
Oh, they
Let me
loved
re-
each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me restate that, though. I think the original cast was way more into what they were doing, even in the movies that sucked, than these people
Oh,
seem to
yeah.
be.
Yes.
Maybe there was more of an investment.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
this was it for them.
Yeah.
You know, everybody, I mean, like, it almost feels like the Next Generation, well, they gave everything to the TV show. And, you know, like, you can watch, there's the great documentary about the Deep Space Nine show. Those people loved each other, and they were a family. And that happens on TV, but in the movies, it's almost obligation at that point. It's like, oh, we got to do this fucking movie. Patrick Stewart, I'm sure, would rather do other things, which is probably why you got paid $10 million for this movie.
Yeah.
Brent Spiner couldn't shake his typecasting, so he probably wanted the $10 million just to say, well, whatever, fuck it. You know, Frakes was busy directing other things.
Yes, he was.
LeVar Burton was just, he seems like the coolest guy on the planet anyway.
Definitely. Yep.
So it's like he didn't really have a care in the world. I don't think Gates McFadden was, I mean, she was a choreographer to begin with before even acting. So it's like, it's not like she was banking on it. It was almost obligation that brought them back together.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like every Star Trek original cast Star Trek movie felt like a reunion.
Yeah. It's a party. Hey, we're all
Yeah.
going to go over
That's
to.
kind of what I was trying to say,
There
I
was something
think.
warm in my heart every time a new movie came out, bad or good. You know, 5 is as bad as that movie is. There's still like really heartwarming moments that make me feel like, oh, it's so awesome having the team back together.
Right.
I don't ever really feel that with the Next Generation.
I'm not even a
movies.
Star Trek fan, and I feel that in the original Star Trek movies and not here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, and
Maybe that's what I was trying to articulate earlier, is that
And I think that maybe part of that also was the people who were writing and making the 6 original cast movies were not, they were either people who were like Shatner and Nimoy who did stories for their movies. But beyond that, these are hired guns who were not Star Trek fans. The people making these Next Generation movies were all
TV
the
writers.
people from the Next Generation. They're all insiders.
Hmm.
So that's,
they needed somebody from outside of the universe to give it some life beyond the
right.
Next Generation.
Yeah, the people who made Star Trek 2 never watched Star Trek. They went back and watched all the episodes and figured out it's the relationship between these characters that people like so much.
Right.
It sure as hell ain't the goofy looking rock monsters.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
the relationship, and that's what drives this. And then they wrote Star Trek II and made it, and it's like everything. It's everything that a fan of anything should want from that thing. But
Steve,
and on
Steve
that
agrees.
note, Steve does agree.
Steve was the one who told me about it.
Steve's
That-
death was more impactful than Data's.
Yeah, we've been talking about him for a month.
Yep.
I ain't going to be talking about Data next month.
No.
Oh, well, have we done
I'm
it?
not going to talk about him after today, probably.
There you go.
We've done it. I think we've done it. We
Put
did
a-
it.
We put a bow on this
Made it.
Trekation.
We came
Yeah,
through that
well,
trick.
no more Treks. I mean, yes, there are 3 more Star Treks.
They need to make a 4th before we.
Yeah, but I don't
Consider
know. I don't think we want to sit around for an hour and 15 or 30 minutes with Jason talking about In the Darkness.
Oh my God! I don't know if I.
All right, let's not even start it now. What's next, Jeff? What's happening?
All right. So
That's a good decision.
next week we do have a really good movie to talk about. We got The Dark Knight,
Yes.
Oh yeah.
and a friend of the
gooder.
show joining us for the first time ever. That should be good.
Yep.
Should be real good. So we got The Dark Knight. That's on Wednesday. Every Wednesday's new episode of Film Seizure, if you guys didn't know.
I'm learning that now.
Oh, yeah. See? It's a good thing I brought that up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's at filmseizure.com. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Just look for Film Seizure. That will tell you when things are happening. You can also, on Mondays, listen to my show, Monster Mondays. This upcoming Monday is Hotel Transylvania 2.
Oh.
Yeah, fun little Jindy Tartakovsky animated funness.
What did you call it?
Hotel Transylvania 2.
Jendy.
Jindy.
Jendi?
Yeah, this is Jindy Tartakovsky. That's his name.
That's the
The guy who made Samurai Jack.
Okay.
You are really bad with names.
Yeah. I didn't realize he made those.
Yeah, he made. Yeah,
Huh.
he and Sandler got together on this. Yeah,
Interesting. All right.
yeah. Anyway, they're fun. They're a lot of fun. Little monster movies for your little kids. It's fun. So that is this upcoming Monday. It is so every Monday, filmseizure.com, Monster Mondays. Both Monster Mondays and Film Seizure. Not only can they be found on filmseizure.com, but you can also go to SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, and Audible, as well as YouTube, if that's where you want to listen to your podcasts. This upcoming Friday on my site, bmovieenema.com. It's Frankenhooker. Frank
Nice.
Henenlotter's Frankenhooker. It's a fun movie. Love it. There is a mention of super drugs in that movie that cracks me up. Because of the way it's delivered, it's a brilliant movie. That's bmovieenema.com. You can also follow bmovieenema on Facebook and Twitter. Do that thing. I appreciate it. So, we have Batman. We will go to Gotham City, aka Chicago, next week.
Yeah.
Yep. What's the Blues Brothers song about Chicago?
Sweet Home Chicago.
That's it.
Thanks,
I
Ken.
know
I
my
was
Blues
drawing
Brothers.
a blank over
Yeah, I
here.
was too.
Yeah. Sweet Home Chicago. For
That's a Blues Brothers Dan
Yeah.
Aykroyd thing. Yeah.
Pier 1 Imports.
This mall has everything.
So do those things, and we appreciate it. Ken, as always, fantastic to go on Trekkations with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I assume that you're like us. It's First Contact number 1, number 2 Insurrection. Probably this number 3.
Yes, Generations definitely 4.
Yeah, that's a bad movie.
This one does it's a tough decision, but I think this one edges out Generations for sure.
Every time I've seen Generations, I imagine I'm going to like it more than I do. And I'm already coming back around to, was it that bad? And I know it is, but I know that I'll watch Generations again. This one, I'm just not so sure.
Fair enough.
Yep.
This one overstays its welcome, much like this episode.
Yes, let's say goodbye.
So with that, thanks
Beam
again.
the fuck out of here.
Thanks, Ken, for joining us on this wacky Trekation. Someday we'll have you on for something that's not Star Trek, but probably either has Star or Trek in the title. No, just kidding. Anyway,
Like A Star Is Born. Are we gonna really?
yeah, or a Star is
Which one?
Trek.
Starsky and Hutch.
Ooh.
Starsky and Trek.
Star Crash.
All right, come on.
All right, all right.
Give it to me.
All that is to say, Steve, we miss you. I am Jeff Arbuckle.
I'm Chuck Moore.
I'm Jason Oliver, and you have been listening to Film Seizure.